Welcome back. This is Foundation, and I am Lord Bara. I hope you've all been well. I've been very busy. Let's just start by doing some basic housekeeping. Ooh, trade routes unlocked. Very nice. It's Middle on Davenport. Well, if traders are going to start coming in regularly, I need to make sure that I'm buying and selling the right things. So let's get some priorities set here. I don't like to sell foodstuffs, so I focus on other commodities. Trying to balance the amount of food that is available in the village can be tricky, so I prefer just to not sell it. If I make sure that I stick all of my foodstuffs at the top so that I can keep an eye on them, make sure that they never drop too low. Keep my villagers well fed and productive. They're going to need to be well fed because they're going to start doing some mining. Here's some tooling. That means I can build a blacksmith and iron smelters, which means I'm going to need charcoal, which means I'm also going to need to expand the amount of lumber that I'm cutting. A lot to do. Let's start with the iron smelters and the blacksmith. The blacksmith is going to sit in the center of town. It doesn't have a negative impact on the villagers' likability of the area, so it doesn't damage whether or not they'll upgrade their houses. But the iron smelters, they absolutely do, which surprises me. The clink of the blacksmith doesn't irritate people. It would certainly irritate me, but then again, I live in the manor, so. This whole area is going to need to be planned, and so I'm just setting out, like I did with the initial part of the village itself. I'm just starting to plan what the overall structure of it will look like, get a feel for the area, how much space there is, what the contours of the land look like. There's some hills up there on the right behind that outcrop, which is where I'll put more lumber. But I'm not really feeling this this design, this shape that's going on right now. I have a feeling it will change over time. So just placing down buildings, getting a feel for what the structure of this might look like. I kind of want it to have a feeling of another town center, but this one's more industrial, obviously, with the iron smelters and the stone cutters and all of the a lot of the traders will stop here, and so I'm thinking that it absolutely does need to be a place where it almost feels like a a secondary town centre, but not the main one. If that makes sense. Probably end up having a few market stalls placed here as well, but not right now. What I did realize is that I need to add in a second sawmill. The villagers are producing a lot of lumber, but not overproducing on planks. So if I add in another lumber camp, if I add in another sawmill and produce more planks, that'll just give me additional commodities to sell. More money in the coffers. Everybody will be happy. These are the charcoal kilns. They're going over here because I want them to be close to a new area where the wood will be transferred from. I'm just starting to create some idea about where a new path might go. The villagers very well may change their mind and decide to go a completely different way. We'll see. They're extremely creative, which is what I like about them. But right now, I just want to guide them. One thing I'm going to have to do is move those stonecutter camps so I can expand this housing area. More job vacancies means more villagers, and more villagers means you will need more housing. So that will need to grow. And the stonecutter camps can move further into this industrial area. So here will be the new, slightly smaller area for wood cutting, but it will serve the charcoal kilns. Just need the one cutter. Should be more than enough. So yeah, that looks like it's about taking shape for the time being. Just need to place these last few pieces and then I think start building it all. There we go. Who's this? Ah, it's Marcule. He's the tailor of the Quiet Stitch tailor shop, known throughout Bara for his steady hands and unmatched skill. Marcule works in calm silence, crafting garments with care and precision. His shop, filled with bolts of wool and linen, is a place of quiet industry, where each stitch is as deliberate as the last. For Marcule, tailoring is not just a trade, but an art. Every cloak, every tunic, and hood he makes is a reflection of his careful craftsmanship. In a village that thrives on the rhythm of daily life, Marcule is a constant presence. A man who weaves not only fabric, but a sense of comfort and familiarity into the lives of the people he serves. He's a man you can depend on, a man you can trust, a man who knows his place in the world. Or does he? Winter had come to Bara town. Its icy breath seeping through the thatched roofs and turning the cobblestones of the village streets into glassy pools. Marcule, seated by the flickering hearth in his small shop, busied himself with mending an old woolen cloak. The villagers of Bara knew the value of wool, especially in the colder months. Wool, after all, was not just any fabric. It was a shield against the biting cold, a vital part of everyday survival. Most of Marcule's winter work revolved around the repair and creation of garments that would protect the villagers from harsh elements. Wool, with its natural insulating properties, was a miracle of sorts. The rough, scratchy texture might not suit the tastes of the wealthy, who preferred finer fabrics like linen, or even silk for their undergarments. But for the villagers of Bara, it was a lifeline. It kept the warmth close to the skin while wicking away moisture, a perfect defense against the biting winds. The wool in Bara was of middling quality, sourced from the local flocks which grazed on the low hills surrounding the village. Marcule had learned, through years of tailoring, the subtle difference between wools. The finer varieties, often imported from Middle or Kinstone Abbey, had a softer touch, but were beyond the reach of most of the village. His patrons preferred practicality over luxury, and Marcule had become a master at crafting sturdy garments, thick cloaks, woolen hoods, and durable hose. But on this particular chilly evening, the quiet rhythm of Marcule's needle was interrupted by a presence that had long unsettled him. Through the dim light of the shop's windows, he saw the hulking figure of Gerard, the blacksmith of Bara, standing in the doorway. The blacksmith's arrival, as always, seemed to carry with it an air of soot. A shadow cast across Marcule's otherwise trouble-free existence. He stepped inside, bringing with him a blast of cold air. Marcule looked up, his fingers pausing mid-stitch. The blacksmith was a strange figure in Bara. While his work at the forge was well regarded, his horseshoes, plowshares, and swords were of exceptional quality. There was something about him that made people uneasy. He was a man of few words, and his comings and goings were often marked by late-night visits to the neighboring towns, from which he returned with heavy sacks and silent companions. No one in Bara asked too many questions, and Marcule, despite his curiosity, knew better than to pry. "Tailor," Gerard's voice was deep, almost a growl, as cold as the winter wind outside. Marcule arched an eyebrow. It wasn't often that the blacksmith asked for anything. He was known to keep himself working tirelessly by the heat of his forge, hammering steel into shape until long after the sun had set. "How can I help?" Marcule asked cautiously, setting his sewing aside. "I need you to make something special. A cloak. But not just any cloak. It must be made of the finest wool you have, thick enough to withstand the cold. Nothing too grand." Gerard's eyes glinted in the firelight, and there was something unsettling about the way he spoke. Marcule hesitated. "For yourself, then?" Gerard smiled, though there was no warmth to it. "No. It's for a friend." The tailor knew better than to push the blacksmith for more details, but the request felt a chill in the air that had nothing to do with the winter outside. Marcule nodded, slowly. "It'll be some time. The finest wool. That will cost extra." "You'll be paid," Gerard said, slipping a small pouch of coins onto the counter. The clink of the metal, barely audible over the crackling fire. Marcule eyed the pouch, but didn't reach for it. Instead, he looked into the blacksmith's eyes, searching for a hint of what this was truly about. "When do you need it?" "Soon. By the next full moon." There was an unmistakable sense of urgency in Gerard's voice, one that made Marcule's pulse quicken. The full moon was just days away. The request, while strange, wasn't beyond his skill, yet the secretive nature of it left Marcule with more questions than he had dared to ask. Gerard nodded, turned on his heel, and slipped back through the tailor's door and into the night, leaving behind the scent of cold iron and something else Marcule couldn't quite place. The door swung shut with a soft thud, and for a moment the tailor sat in silence, his thoughts swirling like the snowflakes outside. Who was his cloak for? And why the secrecy? As he picked up his needle once more, his mind wandered to the blacksmith's late-night journeys. Gerard was not a man easily read, but Marcule had heard rumours, whispers of dealings with strangers in the nearby town of Northbury, men who spoke little and left before dawn. Whatever the truth, Marcule knew that he had unwittingly become part of something larger than a simple commission. The weight of Gerard's request hung in the air like a heavy cloak, but Marcule, ever the craftsman, set to work. The finest wool in his possession, a soft blend from the Kinstone Abbey sheep he had purchased months ago, would soon take shape under his skilled hands. As he worked, the familiar comfort of wool between his fingers did little to calm his mind. The warm, sturdy fabric had always been part of his life, but tonight it seemed as if even the wool carried a shadow. The village of Bara slept, unaware of the quiet intrigue unfolding in that little tailor shop. Well, that about does it. If you have been, Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and perhaps I'll see you in the next one. So until then, this has been Foundation, and I've been Lord Bara.